Welcome to the Wellness on Tap podcast with your host, Dr. Debs Eastwood.
On today's podcast, I am seated opposite the glorious and very glamorous Kerry Cattell, who is going to talk to me today about a variety of different things. She's come to the holistic approach in a different. She manifests it in a few different ways, all of which I think are wonderful. And so hopefully we're going to get the chance to explore all of them today. But could I please start, Kerry, by saying welcome?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
You are. I'm delighted that you're here. Absolutely delighted. And can I ask you first, what was it about the holistic side of things that appealed to you and why?
Yeah, so I was ill a few years ago and I didn't want to just be pumped with chemicals. And that was when I kind of started my holistic journey at that point. It started with, and still continues with, I take daily vitamins and, that kind of stuff. And I got into making healthy shakes. I did a little series of those on a series of videos of those. And I just think it's that there's so many things that you can put into your body that are kind to your body, as opposed to going down the medical route all the time and taking medication. I think the same with mental health as well. When I was ill, I did start to, I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I did start to get where I felt down. And the last thing I wanted to do was take antidepressants and go down the chemical route. And I think by just going outside, just being with nature, just grounding, that fresh air, looking at the beauty around us and, the beautiful world that we do live in, and just being able to eat natural things that are grown from the ground, rather than processed food. There's so much damage in processed food, and just being able to eat food that's grown naturally without pesticides, I just think makes a huge difference. And I truly believe that that's what helped me on my journey of recovery. And so I've just stayed, that way. Don't get me wrong, I'm not always perfect.
We never are we?
I had a McDonald's yesterday. Maybe I should admit that. I did feel rather ill afterwards. I genuinely did, actually. Yeah, it didn't make me feel good at all. But my daughter wanted to go out, and I thought, I'm going to have McDonald's with her. So we did. But generally speaking, I will always go for the healthy option because I don't want to put crap into my body.
Absolutely. And like you said, not only do we get the pesticides and all the processes of processing the food, but the nutritional value that's left in it at the end of all of that is negligible, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, the food industry has the anomaly over people in such a vast way. For example, my daughter wanted some bran, so I bought some bran flakes, and then I looked on the packet and it was something like 70% sugar in there, and this is bran flakes. This is supposed to be something healthy.
Yeah, that you just think of them as being as pure bran.
Yeah. So the food industry just throws sugar and salt and all kinds of chemicals into our everyday foods that we believe are healthy foods that are absolutely not. So, I don't say obsessing over reading labels, but I do think if you open your eyes and read what's in your cupboard, you'd be quite surprised.
Yeah. Yes. I think it would elicit a big clear out for many of us, wouldn't it? Of the cupboards, I mean.
Yes. No, definitely. I think, I've got a family, so, I don't make them do what I do. That's their decision. So if you go in my cupboard, you'll find all kinds of processed foods as well. But you'll always find some nice healthy salads in there. And it's not just about eating lettuce leaves. It's not about that at all. It's it's about just being mindful of what goes in your body is what's on the outside. You know, you are what you eat, you know?
Absolutely. I think that's such a succinct way of saying respect yourself and look after this incredible vessel that we all have different shapes and sizes of, but it facilitates our being here.
Absolutely.
And we should respect it. So if we go back a little, because I feel that's been a lovely summary, a little taster, little bits that I can delve into there. So if we go back to when you said you were ill, were you doing anything holistic prior to that?
No, I'd never done anything holistic prior to that. It never really occurred to me, to be fair. I think I was probably just an average person that went to Tesco's like anybody else and bought what was on the shelves.
Okay.
And put my trust in the food industry that it was, you know, reasonable stuff that they were feeding us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you remember, was there a specific point in your mind where you went, actually, and the switch was made?
Yes. Yeah. So I just finished a course of chemotherapy.
Okay.
I was obviously not feeling great. And I decided that I've got 4 children. I've got to get through this. There's got to be a better way than just filling me with chemicals that make me feel absolutely awful. And that was I just literally woke up one morning and I thought there's got to be a way that I can, one, survive this for my children and for myself. And that was kind of like my light bulb moment when I started doing research. I'd not long had a computer, so it was quite new to me. I remember I got tiny online internet, and it like whirled and whirled and whirled, and I think it was about a pound a minute or something at the time back in the day. And yeah, so I just started doing a whole heap of research into the food industry. That's where I kind of started.
Right, that was your starting point.
Yeah, and then went down that rabbit hole of, oh my God, what are they putting in our foods? How unhealthy is this? How do they get away with this? How do they pack it out with a load of rubbish just to make the packet look bigger? And then just deeper and deeper and deeper into vitamins, minerals, you know, what you're going to get out of a carrot, what you're going to get out of a lettuce, you know, all just really going in depth like that. And I guess then over the years, that's kind of gone on to when I started doing the shakes and the smoothies. They were, I think I was doing like the 2 cups of spinach, a cup of berries, and a cup of either water, almond milk, or whatever kind of milk. Whiz that together, absolute power boost. As well as filling you up, it's filling you up with good, healthy nutrients.
Yeah. So at that time then, you were feeling rotten.
Absolutely horrific.
That was, and like you say, computers to you, and by the sounds of what you're saying about the internet in general to Joe Public, were in their early stages of everybody having one. So that's really a massively strong, dynamic, like, I absolutely am going to do this kind of attitude, a kick-ass attitude. That's so heartwarming to me, to think that you were down on your knees health-wise and you were like, nope, I'm not taking this. I admire you for that.
Thank you. I have always been the black sheep of the family. I've never done as I've been told.
Oh, joy.
And I've always had the fire in my belly that my mother before me had as well. She was a strong woman. So yeah, I mean, through my childhood, I was always the naughty one. I had 2 brothers, one older, one younger. And my dad found me really defiant. I didn't have a strong relationship with my father, but I did with my mother. And I think from seeing what she went through while we were growing up made me a really, really strong, determined person. And so as much as I felt weak and wanting to sleep, I thought, no, because if I give in to this, where does that leave my family? So it was that case of, right, pull yourself together, Kerry, and crack on.
Do you think actually the process of doing the research helped you as well?
Absolutely, yeah, because it gave me focus. It gave me something to do, as well as running around after 4 little people.
I was going to say you were quite busy anyway with the sounds of things.
I was. But yeah, no, because I think the more I learnt, the more I felt stronger. I felt stronger for knowing. And even though, like we were saying, computers were not so great then, you couldn't just Google and away. I can't remember what the search engine was called, but Ask Jeeves, I think it was called back then. And it was really slow. So I did get books from the library as well. And I'd often sit in bed at night and study. And it kind of gave me a warm feeling that, you know, I'm learning this and this is great. And this, I can put this into action and this is going to help. And I can share with other people what I'm doing as well and show that it worked, you know, made me so much better and came out the other side.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, I'm a strong believer in the fact that with any illness, and one significant enough to require chemotherapy, mind over matter is a huge part of it. You know, I mean, I'm not saying that that's the only thing that you need, but you were clearly demonstrating that. And did you start to implement some of these things straight away as much as you could?
Yeah, literally my shopping list that week changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did the family argue about that?
There's a little bit of resistance.
Yeah.
But again, even, you know, we're fast forward several years now, but I don't put it on the family as well. They have the choice.
Of course.
They have the choice.
Yeah.
I've always been very much, here's the education, this is what you're taking, you have the choice.
So you got better. Marvellous news. Marvellous news. That must have been a great day.
Yes. It was. I remember the doctor coming into the room to say, you know, you've done all your scans, all your blood tests, everything's back, completely in remission. And even he said, because he'd been on the journey with me, obviously, that he believed what I'd been doing had definitely helped towards my outcome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So by you helping you were opening the eyes of people within the medical profession as well.
Yeah.
To which there is a huge amount of resistance.
Absolutely. I do remember the doctor saying that, you know, that the medical profession do resist holistic healthcare and do believe in, you know, the medical pharmaceutical sides, and because that's another big thing that I looked into as well, is the pharmaceutical companies.
And pray tell me.
Well, how they push medication, people needing medication to keep them in business, basically. You know, that's the long and short of it, isn't it? I mean, you know, you can go down all kinds of rabbit holes with different medications, but Big Pharma just want us all to be ill and take medication because that's what makes them their money. And if we all took a holistic approach to our bodies, Big Pharmas would be going out of business, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. We are clearly not alone in having that opinion, are we?
No.
And I think the more and more people I talk to, both here on the podcast and just out there in the big wide world, more and more people are becoming more and more awake to the fact that, you know, it's not a coincidence that there's a link there. And I find myself asking myself, how on earth has it taken me this long to see it?
Yeah.
And I think most people just plod along, don't they? They take what's given.
I think they do. And because it's the norm and probably the easier option in some respects. And that's what keeps these big companies, food companies and pharmaceutical companies in business, and it will forevermore.
Yeah.
It's just that it would take such a huge, huge shift to turn that around. But I think people like us put it out there to others, and even if we can change one life at a time, help one person at a time, then we've done our bit, haven't we?
That's it. It's the ripple effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I truly believe, and I do see, maybe it's just my select circles, I don't know, but I do see more and more awareness and more people looking at what's available out there and going, actually, I'm going to try and look after me more, and I'm going to try and, that phrase, treat my body as a temple.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think from a mental health side as well, that is massive and so important. Putting aside what we're eating, what we're consuming as well mentally has a huge, huge impact on how our bodies react to illnesses. And, even things like coughs and colds, you can fill your mouth with all kinds of syrups and, processed stuff. Or just try some honey and lemon, take something natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't fill yourself with all that rubbish that costs £10 a bottle and doesn't have any different effect.
No.
To something natural like honey and lemon.
And actually tastes vile.
It does.
You could almost taste the processing in it, can't you? It's just
absolutely.
So disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to tempt fate here.
Ooh.
I'm going to tempt fate. There's only wood around
sip
here.
Of water.
Yeah. And say, since last August, I've been taking some natural activation supplements that help my body to produce its own glutathione. The stats that come from scientific research-based papers, which is why I will endorse this company, say that 140% increase in your body's production of its own natural product. And since I've been taking that, still working in a hospital, networking all around the country, meeting up with hundreds and hundreds of people, I've been in contact with loads of people with coughs, colds, flu, GI symptoms. I've had one day of feeling poorly.
Amazing.
One day with a package of symptoms that everybody else had. They were off work for a week with it.
Yeah.
One day. My hairdresser commented on the state of my hair. She didn't know I was taking these things. And she said, I can't believe how well your hair is growing. Clearly, it's not naturally these colours either. So I do use processors on my hair via her quite a lot. And I'm not 20 years old. And my hair is growing well and strong because I'm taking activated collagen.
Mm.
I mean, I noticed to myself that my nails are like that when I was 20. They're strong, they're not brittle. And I'm like, there's something in this. There's something that is respect to my body. Yeah. I'm saying to my body, by taking these activators, I know you can do it. Mm. I respect you. I believe in you.
Yeah.
Get on with it and just do it and look after me. And it's all part of the same picture, isn't it?
It is.
By the foods you were taking in, the lack of processed rubbish. So I want to know more about your juices then. You hinted about this. Did that come as a direct result of all your learning about putting better things in? Tell me.
Yeah. So, it from all the learning through that time, And then when we went into lockdown, the first few months of lockdown, I was at home, like everybody else, and I have to be a busy person. I can't have nothing to do. I go insane. So that's when I did a diploma in holistic health and well-being. And part of that course was the juices, the smoothies, foods, all that kind of thing. With me already doing that sort of thing, it was fairly straightforward, but it was still interesting to learn, if you need a boost, take this, make this one. If you want to chill out, take this one. And it's just having that kind of like the milky cacao type smoothies versus the spinach and berry smoothies, that have different effects. And I really enjoyed doing all the little videos for those as well. And I think I would love to have a little juice bar. I think it'd be great to have. I mean, I know these juice bars are a sort of, they are out there, but it's something that I really enjoy creating. And you can try so many different things as well. Chuck a handful of chia seeds in and, some flax seeds and I get so many different proteins and fats and healthy fats in there and a bit of avocado and, I did a little recipe book as well.
Ooh.
Yes, that's I think that's on my website actually, the recipe book. It was really great. And then when I finished that, I did 10 diplomas in lockdown.
Wow.
Yeah. I had to have something to do.
Were they all as aligned as that food one? Or did you find yourself sort of branching out a bit?
So I did. They were really all around health. So I did my psychotherapy. I did cognitive behaviour therapy. I did children's mental health. I did adolescents with behavioural problems, eating disorders. I can't remember them all. But they were all around.
And
health.
very timely with lockdown and mental health being such an issue.
Yeah. So when we came out of lockdown, that's when I actually started genie therapy. So that I was working with clients on a one-to-one basis, had some brilliant results and some brilliant reviews and feedback. It was so lovely to be able to help other people.
I'm sure.
And I was working as a therapist in a special school as well for a while, which was really nice. There was some really, really troubled children in there. But again, we looked at their diet, and by changing the diet of some of them, the behaviours massively, massively improved.
That is so amazing. For something as, simple, I use that word loosely, as that. Because, I don't know, this could be me just being really blinkered. But quite a lot of the time, you see children that come from more deprived backgrounds that might eat a lot of processed food because of the chaos of their lives, having the behavioural problems. So just changing the food element, which in situations like that may well be a huge shift for them to make.
Yeah.
But just by doing that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is huge. And I think, there was one in particular that was very aggressive and a very angry little boy for genuine reasons, but in changing his diet, his behaviours calmed considerably. And you can't deny that's because that was the change that made the change. The food, the processed food just added to his mental health issues. And by putting good foods in there, he did resist. slightly to start with, as kids do.
As kids do.
But it was always, it was a case of sometimes you can just slip things in without knowing too much.
Yeah.
And his mum did that with him for a month, and she said it's huge difference.
Oh, that must have made such a change to that whole family.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. I love that. So you were able to see the results, not just in yourself then, but in others. What next?
So, I mean, going back, my background's actually in care homes, in care. So that was, that's my mum's fault, that is. So my mum suffered a brain injury in 2000, and so my mum had cancer, and the treatment from the cancer left her type 1 diabetic, insulin dependent diabetic. She had an overdose of insulin, which put her into a coma, and she woke up with a brain injury, and she didn't know who she was, who we were. She wasn't responding to the nurses at all well, but she'd let us as her family kind of get a bit nearer to her. She used to call me Elizabeth Hickinbottom. We never got to the bottom of where that came from. But I became her full-time carer, with the help of the family, my brothers and my dad. And when my mum passed away, I decided I was going to be a social worker. That was my train of thought at the time. But I got to a module in the degree. I was doing a university degree. Got to a module in the degree where you had to be in a care setting or nursing setting. So I went to, there's a Bupa home down the road. I thought, I'll go and get myself a job as a care assistant. So did that. And within 6 weeks, I'd been made a senior. I think it was in about 6 months I was the deputy manager, and within a year I'd got my own care home.
That's the way to do it.
And then after I'd sort of turned this care home around for Bupa, they moved me to a bigger one and said, can you do the same with this one, this troubled one? It was the biggest one in the country at the time. It's got 6 homes on one site. So yeah, sorted that one out. And then I was made a regional support manager and then regional director for Bupa UK. So so the social worker thing kind of went out the window.
Unsurprisingly, but it pointed you in the right direction, clearly,
pointed me
didn't
in
it?
the right direction, yes, yeah. So, but then when Bupa sold off a lot of their care homes at the end of 2017, I took redundancy at that point and thought, do you know what, I'm going to set up my own care consultancy, which is what I did, a Care Home Genie, which still ticks away now. I do 3 days a week at the moment in supporting a care home in Leicestershire. And the rest of my time is on my travel stuff.
Ah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Do all these practices, as much as possible, feed into your care homes then?
Yes. So when I go into it, if a care provider calls me and says, Kerry, we've had a bad CQC report, can you please come in and help, have a look, sort us out? So the first thing that I'll look at is care plans. And when I go into care plans, I'll look into nutrition, medication, and having medication reviews across the home. And you'll be amazed, Debs, at the amount of medications that get stopped, not needed, or taken down to PRN.
That, because of the job that I do, that doesn't surprise me. Because we see old people coming in quite often with fractured neck of femurs from a care home environment or from their own homes where they're trying to be independent and starting to fail in that. On 20, 30 medications.
I know.
Who knows what interactions are going on there?
Exactly.
But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no.
I interrupt.
No, not at all. Not at all. So that's, and that makes such a big, because it prevents falls as well. Like the number of falls goes down. The number of distress behaviours goes down. And looking at that person holistically as well. It's getting to know who that person was before they had dementia.
Oh, yeah.
And it's amazing how you can interact with them when you know those details, and you can de-escalate. Things don't need to get heightened. And it's very much about education of the care team as well.
Yes. Education is vital in everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, without that information that you have provided wouldn't be of any benefit, would it?
No. I think it's very, very important so when you go into a care setting, you can see that things are not being done correctly. It's not a case of like, you're doing that wrong. It's a case of, have you been shown how to do that a better way? Education.
Yeah.
Education. And with positive behaviour support, people can live a really good life with dementia, you know?
Absolutely.
Care homes don't have to be somewhere you go to die. I always say I want the care homes you come into to be somewhere you've come to live.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I completely agree as well. You know, we have an image of them being quite dismal places. And I agree that is not the way it should be. And it's so nice to be able to see somebody that supports that and is actively promoting it.
Yeah.
And doing something about it. Because that's the missing point, isn't it? It's the doing something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel very privileged to be able to go into, you know, different care homes around the country and be able to make a difference and be able to, as well as help the providers, be able to make a difference to the people's lives that are in there and the workers that work bloody hard.
Yeah, don't they? Yeah.
All departments, you know, they work bloody hard. I think it's just an absolute privilege to be able to be in that position to make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I know my cousin who was a nurse trained in the UK, who's lived the majority of her life over in Sydney, through the nursing background, was visiting a lot of what she calls aged care facilities.
Yeah.
And looking at pressure sores being utterly preventable.
Yeah.
And also the impact in hospitals of trying to prevent pressure sores, but in actual fact, likely creating delirium by turning people every few hours, which is also not necessary. And if you ever get to have a conversation with her, one of the first sentences that she'll come out with once you get her into this particular theme is, they all need an alternating pressure air mattress.
Yes. Yes.
You know, because then you don't have to wake them up in the night, and the likelihood of them getting sores is minimised.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
Yeah.
And that's all about quality of life, isn't it, as well? And I should imagine that combined with a positive environment, positive staff, a healthy diet, a healthy attitude to movement where possible. I choose that word instead of exercise because that might not, you know, be appropriate, but movement and mental stimulation.
Holistic health.
In a nutshell. That springs me nicely into the mental health, which you've alluded to a couple of times, both with the qualifications that you got yourself during the lockdown and also because of travel. How do those two link for you?
So I think travel, getting out into the world, new experiences is hugely beneficial to mental health. You know, it doesn't have to be fancy holiday in the Maldives. It could be something as simple as I'm doing tomorrow, going off to Torremolinos for 3 nights. One of the areas that the travel thing's more recent, and one of the areas I want to get into is being able to deliver fabulous retreat locations for mental health retreats. So I have now got access to some amazing buildings around the world, UK and worldwide. And I want to be able to deliver these to people that want to create the most exquisite retreats in the most beautiful of places. And some have, some are fancy pools and villas and that kind of thing. Some are small, quiet, out in the middle of nowhere, wigwam type things. And some are, somewhere in the middle. I think the most grandiose one I've got in the UK is where they recorded The Crown.
Ooh.
Yeah, really fancy. But yeah, so it's about finding amazing places for people to deliver amazing services. And I want to be able to help people that want to facilitate a retreat, but don't really know where to start looking for a location.
Ideal. I think from everything we've learned, you're so ideally placed to provide that, because you're already used to looking at the environment a building creates from the care home side of things. And this is a shift. But you must already have the confidence from that.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it like that from the care home building side of it. But yeah, I mean, when I go into the care homes, the environment is a big part of it. So, so when I get something come on my desk travel wise, I like to go and look into every single room and know where every bed is and how that could possibly work. Where there's sort of like breakout spaces, outdoor spaces for grounding, all that really good stuff.
Yeah, because it is, isn't it? The environment is such a massive part. Because I don't know, I mean, I've only ever been on a few holistic health retreats, and all of them have been glorious. But I can well imagine looking at the ones I've been on, if I put them into a situation where that wasn't appropriate. So, some gaudy, glitzy, clubby style place wouldn't be suitable for a really calming, gentle retreat. So, which, maybe some people try to have done and been unsuccessful. So I can see this as a very natural progression.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get the opportunity as well, if you're ever involved in running them. Is that something you want to do? I was just going to say to, bring the juicers in and whatever else. What would you bring in? Go on, if it was your ideal retreat.
Oh, if I was doing a retreat. So yeah, it would be very much a holistic retreat. It would be very much about nutrition, hydration, the air, the ground, everything around that person, the meditation, the sound, sound baths.
Oh, I love a sound bath.
I love a sound bath. Yeah. I actually had a sound bath this morning. I woke up rather early, so I put my headphones on and I had a little sound bath.
Oh, wow, wonderful.
Yes, I do that quite often. My husband calls them my head pants. It's just, one of those, they've just got the little soft, like a headband,
okay.
yes. Yes, my head pants. I had my head pants on this morning. I had a little sound bath. So yeah, if I was running something, it would be, all of that plus, yoga and just really relaxing. Not that yoga's always relaxing. It can be quite strenuous, but flow.
Yeah. Yes. So in a place that's got grounds, like you were saying, so you can get out there. Somewhere, I guess, that's comfortable enough, but not necessarily overly. This is just my spin. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
Because some people wouldn't feel comfortable. You mentioned the wigwam style environment, and others perhaps wouldn't feel that it was a completely holistic experience if it was absolutely top dollar.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it depends on what the person themselves is looking for. because the wigwam experience is very much more going back to the earth and grounding than what staying in a huge country mansion is. Yeah, it's very, very, it depends on what the facilitator is offering on that retreat as well, as to which environment is better to carry that out.
And so the fact that you have a variety from one to the other and everything in between, I should imagine you're going to really enjoy helping people choose when you learn about their retreats. Look at that grin. That says it all. So you're going to help people find the right space for them.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling, isn't it?
Oh, it's lovely. I love it. I will love it. I was looking yesterday, somebody had asked for a retreat for 18 people. So I know exactly which provider to go into the back office. I'm looking at these places. I think, but every holiday I book, Debs, I want to go on it.
I'm sure,
yes. That's my biggest problem with the travel stuff I'm doing. I'm like, oh, yes, I really want to go on that. But yeah, it was lovely looking, finding these amazing places. Some have pools, some have hot tubs. But yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So does that bring us full circle? Is this... No, I don't think this is the end. This is another phase that you're going to put your skill and joy into.
Yeah.
And there's going to be something else. I don't know what that might be.
Yeah, there's something else that's bubbling in the background, potentially.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. I just knew it. With you talking about of having this busy, full life, kids, care home businesses, your own businesses, the travel, the juices, there had to be something else.
I think that's it. I think the travel bit, I think I will take into retirement with me, because it's somewhere, as long as I've got an internet connection and a laptop, I can be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where we're up to right now.
That's fascinating. I want to leave it right there, because that is ripe for coming back in the future when you are ready for this bubbling idea to emerge, and you can come and tell us all about it.
I'd love to. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. It's been an utter delight.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, my darling, anytime.